I'm sure this is where a lot of guys struggle, and you probably drives you crazy, where you are talking to somebody, you're like, you got the banter going. Now what? I need to get off the app. Eventually, I want to go on a date with this person. What are people doing wrong? What is a good way to transition from app to either phone, FaceTime, date? Where are people screwing this up?
So generally, men screw it up where when they ask for a date way too soon,
Hmm.
way too soon. So I actually teach the guys that I work with not to even mention a date, mention a future, mention anything within the first. It depends on if the conversation is happening live. So if it's a live, where you're back forth right there in real time, I wouldn't bring that up until the conversation has lasted maybe 45 minutes or maybe into an hour. If it's line by line, which I mean, it's one line today, one line tomorrow, one line today, one line tomorrow, then, I'd say waiting roughly until you know about four things about her that are not from the dating app, then you can start to broach that territory. Women have generally, most of them have been on dating apps for a long time, either on and off by this point because they've been around for a long time. And at the beginning, it is just like a kid in a candy store. And women have made this mistake where they match with a guy, they find him attractive, he's got a good job, and he checks some boxes. But they haven't built up any rapport with the banter. And he just says right off the bat after three lines something like, "You want to grab coffee?" And then she said, "Sure." And then she did that another time with another guy and another time with another guy. And each time there was zero connection, zero uh, vibes happening. She's then learned, okay, I need to actually kind of know the guy a little bit before I give him my time. So when you say anything about a date at the beginning, generally, because I see messages from my clients, I want to see how they are interacting with women so I can kind of diagnose what's going wrong. And a lot of the time, they're asking for the date or mentioning a date or bringing up dating or what they're going to be doing this summer within the first five lines. And you can feel the energy shift where she just immediately backs off.
Hmm.
So that's a huge no no. So, what you generally want to do is have that conversation where you get to the point where you do learn about, four things about her that are not in her profile that you learned through fun banter and conversation. And banter doesn't have to be laugh every second, every moment. It's just being enjoyable and fun to have a ping pong match of words with. So once you've gotten to that point where you know those four things or so, or you've been chatting for about an hour on the app, then you go in for the phone number. You don't go for the date before the phone number. The phone number is like getting a green light of her saying, "I'm enjoying this. I'm giving you permission to move slightly forward and to talk more to me." So you get the number. And usually, what I recommend for like kind of a smooth way to get the number is to use a callback to something that was spoken about in the conversation, in that hour-long conversation, or in that 4 days of, lines here and there. So, so for example, if, you guys were talking about how dating just feels like job interviews, you could use that as a callback if when you want the number. So you could say something like, let's get another interview on the books. Like, I got to run. You go out when you're on, just like you said, George Costanza, Jerry Seinfeld, you go out on a high note. You're doing great. Like, she's having fun. The vibe is where it should be. That's when you want to go. You swoop out almost like Batman. Like, who was that guy? So, so you got to go right when things are going really great. At, like I said, 45 minutes to an hour. Call back to something that was spoken about already. If you need to scroll up through the conversation to find something to inspire you, do that. So in this case, we're pretending that the guy was, or that they were having a conversation about dating feeling like job interviews. He would say, "I got to run, but let's get another interview on the books. Pass me your number and I'll have my assistant set something up." So generally, she'll pass you her number and then you leave the app. You're done with the app. do not text again from the app. Once you have the number, don't text her and say, "Hi, this is John." It's like, yeah, duh. You were just like she knows that. So we want to avoid things that are like where she's going to be like, "Yeah, yeah, I got it." Treat her with this like level of intelligence. So you send a text, and I guess in this case you would say, well, because of the way we're playing it, but you would say, "Hey, it's John's assistant. I'll be in touch soon with his calendar to, get something on the books." And then she'll say, "Ha ha, okay, cool." And then you're gone. You're out. You do not text again. So 24 hours later, then you follow up and you say something like, "It's actually John. I had to fire my assistant. She was, eating too many of the mints in the candy jar." Something like that, something playful. And then you restart your banter. And then once you banter again for half hour or so, then you can go in for the date. And you can go in for the date just like any man, like you can be simple. You don't have to be this always smooth, having the right lines kind of guy. You could simply just say, "I'd really love to meet you. Are you free Saturday? Let's do, if she says yes, then you come back with plans. Boom, here's what we're doing. Here's the place we're going. Is this cool with you?" Whatever. You can do it like that. However, if you want to be a little bit more fun or playful or, silly, you can use what I call like this excuse tactic. But it's an over the top excuse where it's so clear. It's so clear that you're making up an excuse to go on a date with her. You're not trying to play it off like it's a real excuse. So you could say something like, "There's this bar that I love going to, but if I go there alone one more time, they're going to send me to AA. So you've got to come with me Saturday night." So you're making this excuse, but it's clearly a fake excuse. And so that's more of a playful way to get her on the date. It's just like, then, if you're on a second date, because I always recommend evening dates for first dates. Some people like to just grab a coffee or they just, want to take a walk. I don't feel like that sets the environment for sexuality and attraction and that evening lighting, if you're going to go out for drinks or to dinner, she'll usually dress nicer, which puts her in a different frame of mind versus just going on a walk. She might just be kind of casual and it feels every day, ho hum. So I always recommend an evening date. No one has to follow that hard and fast, like it's a hard and fast rule, but that's just my own personal opinion. But then when you do those like second, third, whatever, more casual dates, you can, if you want to use the excuse technique, then you could, say something like, "I'm taking my dog on a walk, but he's super embarrassed of me. He doesn't like to be seen with me because I'm like a nerdy, I'm a nerdy dog dad. So would you mind like holding the leash so he can feel, cool for a day," or something like that. You're
like
just
that. Yeah.
you're just looking for this over the top excuse that comes across cute and obviously silly. You don't have to do that every time. If you do it every time, it can get old. So you can, of course, mix it up with the just, like, "Let's go out. I want to meet you. You seem really awesome." And then the fun way as well is for you.